Welcome back, everyone. My name is Joel Feld, and today I want to talk about security, specifically two-factor authentication. Here we go. Chances are you're probably using two-factor authentication. And two-factor authentication is just a security layer that protects your account from bad people getting into your email or contacts, calendars. So I want to talk a little bit about how to set it up, how to change some of the settings, and some little tips along the way. I have a computer, an iPhone, and an iPad, and I want to walk through what two-factor authentication looks like and then go through the settings afterwards. So here is the typical scenario. Let's say that this computer is a friend's computer, a family member's computer, a computer at school, work, library, whatever it may be. Naturally, you want to sign into your account so that maybe you can check your email, look at your calendar, something along those lines. Now, this is geared specifically for iCloud, but you'll see this if you're trying to access Gmail or Yahoo or Microsoft Outlook. A lot of other services offer this type of security. So here is the scenario that typically happens. Not my computer, but I want to check my email. So I'm going to open up Safari and I'm going to go to iCloud.com. I'm going to click on sign in. I'm going to type in joel.feld@icloud.com. I'm going to type in my password and I'm going to try and sign in. On the computer, it says, okay, to make sure it is me, a legitimate person trying to access this account, it says a message with a verification code has been sent to other devices or your devices. Please enter the code to continue. So you'll notice on my phone here and on my iPad, it prompted me with a notification saying, your Apple ID sign-in requested my account and it's being used in a nearby location. Do you want to allow it or do you not want to allow it? Now, if you've ever seen this message before and you're not at a computer trying to sign in or you're not doing anything with any technology, this is a good indicator that someone may know your password and is trying to log in. Because naturally, right now, if a bad guy was trying to access my information, if it didn't have this two layers of protection, I should say, they already know my password, they would have been in my account already. But because you typically have your cell phone on you, it's sending that code to my phone to say, all right, someone's trying to access your account. They got halfway there with your password, but now they need to get the other half with this code. So on my phone here, I'm going to touch allow, and then it prompts me with this code, the 6-digit code that I now enter in. You'll notice as soon as I did allow on this phone, it disappeared the notification on my iPad because I need this code here. Because this code is going to be different every time you do this. So I'm going to type in 919825. So now it says, okay, do you want to trust this browser or not trust this browser? I would recommend, especially if this is a public computer, don't trust it. Just definitely say don't trust or not now, either way. If you trust it, it just means it's not going to send you this notification every single time. So as of right now, we're going to say not now. Now we're into iCloud. I'm able to check my email, look at my photos, access my contacts, calendars, all of that good stuff. You may be asking, why did this iPad and why did this iPhone get this notification? I have another iPad here and I have another computer here. Why didn't those notifications pop up on these devices? Well, the answer is because these are trusted devices. Number one, they're using the same Apple ID. So I logged into the computer web browser with joel.feld@icloud.com. This iPhone and iPad are also logged in to the device settings with that same Apple ID. So that's why I got the notification. Now let's take a step back and let's repeat this process because I want to show you some of the other options. So I'm going to go in the top right here, choose sign out. I don't want Safari to remember my password, so I'm going to say not now. And we are going to sign in again. And we're going to do this probably a few more times. So I'm going to type in joelfeld@icloud.com, if I can spell, paste in my password. Notice I get the notification on my phone and my iPad. Now let's pretend that this notification is not coming through. For whatever reason, I'm just not getting it. So I'm going to say don't allow. The moment that I do that on my phone, notice it says, hey, do you need to change your Apple ID password? If you think someone is trying to sign in to your account, you should change your password. Well, I know that I'm doing this right now, so I'm going to say not now. If I chose continue, it just takes me to the settings on my phone to reset my password. You'll notice on the computer here, it says didn't get a verification code. Because remember, we're gonna pretend like that notification didn't pop up. So I'm gonna say, yes, I did not get a verification code. I can either choose to resend a new code, or I can say text me the code instead. And the last option is more options, which takes me to Apple's support website to then recover my account, and you have to know the telephone number that's associated with your Apple ID. Now let's come back to the message here. Let's say didn't get verification code. Let's choose resend code. So naturally I should get that pop-up message on my iPhone and iPad, but sometimes when you click that and you've waited too long, it doesn't send. So here is a good option, a trick that you can do if the notification doesn't pop up. You can actually go on your phone into settings, and if I touch the Apple ID and choose sign in and security, and then choose two-factor authentication, I can actually manually prompt to get a verification code. So if I touch this, it now generates one for me right here, right now. So I can type this code in 103767, and it will actually use that code for me. So again, I will choose not now, and now I'm back to being able to access my account. Now, I've talked a lot about trusted devices. This iPad is a trusted device, this phone is a trusted device, and I have another cell phone that is linked that actually has cell phone service that is a trusted device. But the question is, how do you manage these trusted devices? How do you get rid of them? And also, how do you add a trusted device? So there's another website that we're going to go to, and it is appleid.apple.com. We're going to sign in with my account. So I'm going to say joel.feld@icloud.com. Type in the password. I will get prompted on my phone and my iPad. For fun, let's use my iPad. I'm going to choose allow and do 617959. I do not want Safari to save my password as of right now, so I'm going to choose not now. Now, this is where you go to manage all of the different settings, billing, information related to your main Apple ID account. So over here on the left-hand side, you have sign in and security, personal information, all of these different categories. But we want to stick with sign in and security and choose the second choice here, account security. So this is where we tell the Apple ID what devices are trusted for this. So on this main page, I have the ability to add additional cell phone numbers. If I click on this plus sign here, I can type in a phone number, and I'm going to say I want to verify it with a text message, not a phone call, because phone calls just take forever and text message is way easier. And I'm going to choose continue. Now, in order to add this telephone number to this account, I need to verify once more with my password for this Apple ID. So I'm going to choose continue again. And this phone number has been used too many times. Choose a different number. Well, that's a first. Probably because this phone number is literally associated with like 10 different Apple IDs. So essentially it would send that 6-digit code to the text message, and I would put that in here. We can simulate that with the actual phone that it's associated with. So we'll look at that in a second. But underneath here, we have the trusted devices of this other phone that got the notification, an iPad that's right here, and then a Mac Mini that I use as my server. So those are the 3 different devices that are trusted with this Apple ID. So all 3 of those devices are going to get those notifications to type in. Now, if I went to my iPad here, let's say that this iPad is no more. I don't have this. Maybe it's lost, stolen, broken, whatever it may be. I can actually remove that from the account. So if I scroll down here, I'm going to say remove this from my account, and it's going to say, well, you're not going to have access to iCloud anymore on that device. So you'll notice the moment that I did that, I got a message on this iPad saying Apple ID verification, enter the password for this Apple ID in the settings. So I would need to go to settings and update this with my password to then make it a trusted device. Because now you'll notice if we sign out, and let's go back to iCloud, we're going to sign out here again. All right, so sign in, iCloud.com, type in the password. So now that notification is only gonna pop up on this phone. It no longer pops up on the iPad because I told it not to be a trusted device anymore. Now, let's say that I don't have the device that gets the notification. This is where I can say didn't get notification, text me. And so now this is the phone that's linked with the telephone number. So you'll notice I just got a text message. If I open up messages here, it says your Apple ID code is 753770. And so it does the same thing with the text message as the notification prompt does. So I'm going to choose, actually here I will choose trust. And so now this browser is trusted. So now if I sign out, I can choose trust and sign out. I don't want the password to be saved. So now if I sign in one final time, isn't this fun? Done it like 20 times. And naturally, it shouldn't ask us for the verification because we've told it to trust it. Now, if you're in the scenario where you didn't mean to trust the browser, what you need to do is tell it to forget all browsers that you've associated your Apple ID with. And the way that you do that is by going to the iCloud settings. And then if you scroll down towards the bottom, there's this option for sign out all browsers. So I'm going to click on this, and it's going to sign me out of this browser and any other browser that I trusted previously. So now, if we sign in again, geez, I lied. That wasn't the last time. If we sign in again, now you'll notice we got the notification back on our phone. We can allow that, type it in, 073416, and we're back to giving the prompt of do we want to trust it or not. I'm gonna say not now. And here we are back into the website. And notice you'll even get an email saying, hey, your Apple ID was used to sign into a browser. So that's pretty common to let you know. And this is also another good security measure to let you know if someone does magically have a trusted device in addition to your password. So the whole concept of two-factor authentication is there's two fences the bad guy needs to cross over in order to actually get into your account. One is the password, and the other one is to have a trusted device that gets a special code that changes every single time to then confirm that you are the actual person trying to log into your account. So now if we sign out of iCloud, let's go back to the appleid.apple.com. Sign in, there's our password. It prompts us on the phone again, so I'm going to choose allow 448740. I don't want the computer to save my password. And now we're going to go back to account security. So we have the telephone number and the phone and the Mac Mini. Now let's go ahead and add this iPad back as a trusted device. So I'm going to go to the settings here, and I'm going to type in the password for my iCloud account so it gets added as a trusted device. All right, and we'll choose sign in at the top. So now the iPad is saying, hey, if you want to get in and make this a trusted device, two-factor authentication, I sent a message to another device. So here on my phone, I'm going to touch allow and type in 449883. So that's going to update the Apple ID settings on this iPad. And it wants me to prompt it to sign in again and type in the iPad code. So I'm going to type in that. So now if we come back out to Apple ID, let's just refresh this page here. So now if we click on account security, we now have this iPad back as a trusted device. So now it will receive those notifications going forward. Now there are some other options down here. They have even more security, and they have these security keys. You can click learn more here. And this is like super high tech. Mostly I would say organizations or corporate offices would use this, where you actually get a little key fob or a physical thing that actually you plug into something and you have a code there. So the average user like you and me, probably not gonna have this, but it's kind of a nice security feature for those that need it. So I'm going to close out of this. All right, now at the top of here, they have about two-factor authentication, and I'll link all these support articles down below. This pretty much just walks you through and describes what we just demoed and what we did. Adding a trusted phone number, adding a trusted device, so on and so forth. Now, there are some requirements for two-factor authentication. When you first create an Apple ID, if you were to create one today, it's automatically going to have two-factor authentication turned on. There's no option to turn it off. I have no ability to turn it off once it's turned on. And there are some other requirements. If I click on this link right here, learn the availability and the minimum requirements. So this shows where two-factor authentication is available throughout the world. And if we click on this minimum required system requirements, these are the recommended system requirements: iOS 16, macOS Ventura, the latest and greatest, but it also has the minimum system requirements that you have here. So if you have a really older device that can't update anymore, you may not be able to have two-factor authentication on it. Speaking of minimum requirements, if you are in fact in the predicament of having an older device that's running older software, or maybe you have an Apple ID that actually has not been upgraded to two-factor authentication, then you will be using what's called two-step verification, and I'll show you the difference. So I came across one of my old Apple IDs that actually is so old, I forgot I had it. I used it a long time ago when I did video production, trying to do another side hustle for videotaping live events and theater shows and all of that. But I had an old Apple ID that actually has not been upgraded to two-factor authentication. So it uses what is called two-step verification. Let me show you how that works, and actually let's upgrade that account to use two-factor authentication. So I'm gonna log out of the Apple ID website. We'll log out of iCloud. I'm gonna choose sign out. And this is the appleid.apple.com. And I'm gonna choose sign in. Now the old Apple ID is upstagestudios43@gmail.com. Many moons ago. The Gmail account itself is probably deactivated, and it's probably no longer even usable from Google. And then I'm gonna type in the password. And here we go. So with two-step verification versus two-factor authentication, the difference is with the two-factor, we had two different hurdles. Number one, the password, but then the second hurdle was the notification that changes with the code to a trusted device. Now, two-step verification is still the password. That's hurdle number one. But the second hurdle is standard security questions that you have to type in. So it doesn't require a secondary device to get a code. You just have to answer the security question. So if you have someone that knows your password, they could very well know these security questions and still get into your account, and you would never know. Here it says answer the security questions to continue. And we've all seen this before, I'm sure. This is where you choose 3 or 4 different questions and you add in the security answer for it, and it's usually pretty easy to guess if the person somewhat knows you. So we're gonna type in the answers here and choose continue. So now that second layer of protection, I knew the answers, so now I'm into the account. So if I were a bad guy and I knew the password and these questions, I'm into your account and you would have no idea. Now this is where it wants to say, hey, this Apple ID is really old, you're signing in, do you want to update it to two-factor authentication? Well, for the moment here, I'm going to say other options, and I'm going to say don't upgrade. And again, the web browser is prompting me to say the password, so I'm going to choose not now. So you'll notice that on the sign in page here, under security questions, it says not using two-factor authentication. And when I click on that, all I have the option to do is change my security questions or turn on two-factor authentication. Now, I'm not going to turn on two-factor authentication yet. We're going to do that from the previous menu. And for change security questions, I don't need to change those because I'm going to upgrade the account anyways, and there's no need to do that. So I'm going to close out of this window. We're going to sign out, and we're going to sign in one last time. Answer the security questions, the same security questions. I'll choose continue. And now I'm going to say, okay, Apple uses two-factor authentication to help ensure that you're the only person who can sign into this account. Do you want to essentially learn more about it, which we're doing right now? And I'm going to say continue. And this gives me the opportunity to add a trusted phone number. If I click back and go to the previous option and say other options, we're back to either don't upgrade or choosing upgrade account security, which I'll choose this one. And then we're back to the trusted telephone number. So you need a trusted telephone number to make this work, because 9 times out of 10, users have a cell phone. So here we go, 763-347-9916. So hopefully this one isn't used so many times that it blocks me out either. So let's do continue. So verify your phone number. It should send me a text message, which it does. One cool trick, if you get that little message at the top, usually sometimes it will disappear, but if you just touch and hold on it, it stays there, which is kind of nice. Then you don't have to go in the text message and pull it up that way. So here we have 166, oops, let's click in here, 166743. We'll choose continue. No, I don't want to save the password to the browser. All right, so now if we click on account security, we have that trusted telephone number that's associated with this device. The moment that I leave T-Mobile or get rid of this line, I would not be able to log into this Apple ID because I would need to set up another trusted device that's associated with it. So just keep that in mind. If you ever change your phone number or you don't have a computer, it can be really pain to reset your password for an Apple ID that you don't know. There is a recovery process, but it literally takes like 2.5 weeks for Apple to respond to you to verify that you're the owner of that Apple ID. It is not convenient at all. So make sure that you have a trusted device that you have access to. So now that is pretty much adding that cell phone number. Notice I don't have any devices that are trusted, and the only way to add a trusted device is to go into the settings of the Mac or the iPad or the iPhone and add that Apple ID into the settings. All of these devices have an Apple ID. So if I went to settings on my phone here, if I go back to the top, I would actually have to sign out of this phone that's associated with Learn with Joel. I would have to sign out and then sign in with this other Apple ID, which I'm not going to do. If I were to do that though, this phone then would be a trusted device under this particular Apple ID. That's how you get there. Then it would pop up with those messages like it did before. So that is pretty much two-factor authentication, kind of how it's set up behind the scenes. And this is some of the information that you may not even have known, because a lot of times we just take it for granted and get that text message or get that one pop-up on the phone and then we never think about it. But these are some other ways to add more telephone numbers or add another trusted device and remove things and all of that. So thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button down below. If you want to support this channel, hit that thanks button too. And if you want to learn more, hit subscribe, tap that little bell, and we'll see you next time.